Hello my viewers and welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, then please subscribe, like, and don't forget to share your thoughts on what you think about this video. So today we look into a perspective on history often overlooked in mainstream education. Now we are going to explore the distinction between Africans and Negroes. The discussion challenges the conventional narratives, touching on aspects like lineage, skull shape, skeletal structure, and even hair growth patterns. Now our exploration will take us beyond the surface of traditional historical teachings. The distinction drawn between Africans and Negroes is rooted in a perspective that traces lineage back to Noah's sons Ham and Shem. Now, this unique lens examines aspects such as skull shape and skeletal structure, inviting us to reconsider preconceptions about race and heritage. The assertion that Africans and Negroes exhibit differences in hair growth patterns adds another layer to this intriguing narrative. Now, let's navigate through these lesser known aspects of history. So join me as we check out this video. Then when I come back, we talk more about these findings.
Africans are two different peoples. Race and skin color are really a red herring. Okay, it's a kind of divisive lie that has been put about, and I'm going to go into this a bit more in detail. But to separate people by perceived race is a distraction. Okay, so we all think that all black people are the same, basically, but they're not. Africans are different. They have a different skeletal structure, different skull shape, and one interesting thing is African people, real Africans, cannot grow hair like can. So African men cannot grow beards. All right? African women cannot grow afros. Right? It's a very powerful thing. If you see real African women, you'll see that they've always got very, very short hair because literally they can't grow it. This is a map of Africa from the 1700s, and you can see what it's called down here, right, in the land. Okay, because what happened was the Israelites escaped into Africa, the African continent. But the Africans didn't want them there amongst themselves, because I guess they still remembered the plagues and the Exodus. So the Israelites basically went across the top of the Sahara, which you'll notice is called the Kingdom of Sahara, okay, which is the second son of Judah, by the way. So they went across the Sahara Desert and down into the wilderness, which is where nobody was living, of West and South Africa. So here's a bit more detail here. So this bit here is called the grain coast. It's where the Europeans came in to get their grain. Here's the tooth coast. It's where they came in to get their ivory. There's the gold coast. No explanation there. And here is the slave coast, and where it says there, Kingdom of Judah. So they're the sons of Judah actually ended up there. Here next to it is what's called Benin. I can't see it, but the Kingdom of Benin is here. Now, the people who lived in Jerusalem, that side of the part of Jerusalem that got attacked by the Romans, were the tribe of Judah and the tribe of Benjamin, or Benjamin. So here you have the Judeans and the Benjamites. And right now, the Jews are still there. Ones that weren't taken into slavery are actually still there. There are a couple of, quite a load of tribes out there. The Lemba, these guys are from the Lemba, have been acknowledged now as people of that area, the Judea. There's another tribe of interest called the Igbo, or the Ibo, which we'll come back to later. So when the Europeans came to get slaves, not a single African went into slavery. What happened was the slavers came for the Judeans, and it was the Africans who actually sold them into slavery. It was the Arabs and the Africans who sold them into slavery. Right? They didn't sell themselves into slavery. It was the Africans were selling the outsiders, the ones who came in and were actually prospering in the wilderness of their land. So that dispels that myth that Africans were selling each other into slavery. Again, it's not about skin colour, it's about nation, it's about bloodline. So this is commonly seen as the African slave trade, but there was much more to this story. Because the Aboriginal Americans were the same people They were already there in America, and they were black people. They were not the painted Indians that you're kind of used to. These were the same people that were over in Africa and also in Europe. We'll get to that in a minute. But what happened was we had black people as the Aboriginal Americans, but there were also some Chinese Mongols who went across the Bering Strait and were inhabiting the northwest of America. And it was those people who actually were given all the reservations. All these people were reclassified as black people, as slaves. The Aboriginal Americans were reclassified as black and slaves, and the Native Americans were the Chinese Mongols, who mixed also with came over because there was a thing called the Dawes Rolls, which meant they were classifying who was who, and anybody could come along, European could come along and say and pay $5 to be included as an Indian. So this is one of the journeys of the people from the what's known as the Holy Land, from Israel right now. These are the people called the Iba. Again, very similar to the Ibo and the Igbo tribes in Africa, because Iba comes from the patriarch Eba, who was where the name Hebrew comes from. Okay, so the Iba travelled across southern Europe and ended up in a place they named after themselves, the Iberian Peninsula. And when they were chased out of that area by the barbarians, they founded another country called Hibernia. Again, they named it after themselves. Hibernia means land of the Hebrews. And some of them went on to colonise another country, Scotland. And the only name that survives is Hebrides. Okay. So the Irish were originally black people, and this is an illustration from a magazine, Harper's Weekly, from the 1800s, and it actually tells you in there, if I'd left the whole thing, it says the Iberians were believed to originally be an African race, okay, and you can see how the Irish Iberians started off like this, mixed with these, and became, this was kind of a sort of midway transitional stage. But if you look at the Iberian writing of the time, it's almost exactly the same as the Paleo-Hebrew script, showing that these guys came from Jerusalem, basically. Britain actually started through a black Hebrew Israelite who was a Trojan prince. Okay, his name was Brito. It's been anglicised to Brutus. And what happened was, after the fall of Troy, he set out with 300 ships off to find a mythical land in the west. What happened was Brito, landed in 1103 BC in Totnes, of all places. Yeah, so when he landed here, he found that the country was overrun with headed giants. And the king of the giants was called Albion. And that's, again, places were named after the people. So the country was called Albion. So essentially, Brito and his men, all the giants, apart from one, Albion's brother, called Gog Magog. So Britannia was named after Brito or Brutus. Brito in Hebrew is basically something like holder of the covenant. Okay. Britannia means land of the covenant. This is the covenant between Abraham and the Most High, okay, the Creator, specified in the Bible. When Brutus founded his capital city, he called it Troia Nova, New Troy. Okay, there's a tribe near London called Trinovantes, which is telling you that these people lived near New Troy. And the Romans renamed it Londinium. So Brutus was part of the royal family. He descended from Judah. He's part of the real royal family. The real royal family is descendant of King David. So he was a direct descendant of King David, part of the Zara side of the family.
Now, continuing our journey into this historically nuanced discussion, it's crucial to acknowledge the socio-cultural implications of the distinctions proposed. The narrative suggests that conventional notions of skin color and race might serve as red herrings, diverting attention from the intricate details that shape our understanding of ancestry. Now, as we unravel these intricacies, it's essential to approach this exploration with an open mind, recognizing that historical perspectives can vary. Within the fabric of this narrative lies a deeper examination of the historical and anthropological nuances, purportedly disguising Africans from Moors. Now, the claim that distinctions are rooted in the lineage of Noah's sons, Ham and Shem, adds a biblical dimension, suggesting a divergency in their paths that goes beyond mere geographical or cultural differences. Moreover, the exploration extends to physical attributes, challenging the conventional understanding of race. Assertions about varying skull shapes and skeletal structures imply a unique anthropological perspective, questioning established norms in the study of human evolution and diversity. The intriguing notion that African Negroes exhibit dissimilar hair growth patterns further fuels discourse. Now, such details, often overlooked or omitted, introduce an additional layer to the conversation, prompting us to reevaluate assumptions about shared ancestry. As we navigate these unclear, uncharted territories, it's essential to approach the discussion with a critical yet open-minded lens. So, continuing our exploration, it's important to recognize the potential impact of such distinctions on societal perceptions and interactions. The assertion that skin color and race may be red herrings challenges widely held beliefs, prompting us to reconsider the foundations of racial categorization. Examining the claimed differences in skull shape and skeletal structure raises questions about the methodologies employed in anthropological studies. If valid, these distinctions would not only challenge established norms in the field, but also compel us to reassess the criteria used to redefine human populations. The discussion on the lineage of Noah's sons introduces a religious dimension to the narrative, influencing how communities may perceive themselves and others. Now, this intersection of history, anthropology, and theology highlights the interconnectedness of various disciplines in shaping our understanding of identity. Further scrutiny unveils the potential ramifications of these distinctions on the broader narrative of human history. The emphasis on lineage, particularly tracing back to Noah's sons, introduces a layer of complexity to the discussion, intertwining religious and historical narratives in a way that prompts reflection on the shaping of cultural identities. Now, the purported variations in physical attributes from skull shape to skeletal structure challenge prevailing notions of race as a purely genetic construct. Now, these challenges us to reassess not only how we categorize populations, but also the ways in which historical narratives inform our understanding of diversity. The notion that Africans and Negroes exhibit dissimilar hair growth patterns adds a unique dimension to the conversation, inviting us to consider the cultural significance attributed to physical characteristics. Exploring how these details may have influenced societal perceptions and interactions throughout history broadens the scope of our inquiry. In essence, this exploration goes beyond the surface of historical accounts. It's a critical examination of the lenses through which we perceive our past. By delving into these intricacies, we aim to unravel a more comprehensive understanding of human history that embraces diversity, challenges assumptions, and encourages a nuanced approach to the complexities of identity. Now, he also talked about the founder of Britain, who was a Black Israelite, descendant of King David. Now, this introduces a fascinating intersection of biblical lineage and historical geopolitics. This narrative implies a direct connection between the British Isles and ancient Israel, suggesting a unique historical trajectory that diverges from mainstream historical accounts. Exploring the cultural and religious implications, this alternative perspective opens avenues for understanding the potential impact on the development of British traditions, institutions, and even the monarchy. Now, the notion that the founder of British could be a real descendant of King David adds layers of significance to the nation's historical and cultural identity. Now, while the assertion that the founder of Britain was a Black Israelite and a direct descendant of King David challenges established historical narratives, it's crucial to delve into the potential sources and evidence supporting this claim. Exploring historical context, genealogical records, and archaeological findings associated with the early history of Britain can provide a more more robust understanding of this alternative perspective. Investigating the geopolitical implications of such a lineage sheds light on how it may have influenced early British society, governance, and interactions with neighboring regions. Now, if this holds merit, then it could reshape our understanding of the cultural and political dynamics that shaped the British Isles. Examining how this narrative aligns or diverges from other historical accounts of Britain's origins provides a nuanced perspective. Engaging in a comparative analysis with established historical records helps discern the reliability and uniqueness of this reinterpretation. Now, exploring the cultural and religious landscape of ancient Britain, considering influences from Israelite traditions, adds depth to our understanding of the societal fabric. Investigating any potential records of migrations, cultural exchanges, or alliances with neighboring regions during that time period may offer clues to the intricate dynamics at play. Comparative studies with other historical accounts, both within and outside the region, help contextualize and validate the alternative narrative. Now, this involves a meticulous examination of various sources to discern convergences and divergences, ultimately contributing to a more nuanced comprehension of Britain's early history. Now, for a deeper understanding of this, it's essential to explore the potential historical, linguistic, and cultural evidence that might support or challenge this narrative. Examining linguistic connections and etymological aspects of early British languages may offer insights into possible ties with Semitic languages, providing a linguistic angle to the narrative. Similarly, investigating cultural practices, religious rituals, and artifacts from ancient Britain reveal traces of influence that align with or deviate from Israelite traditions. Exploring the broader geopolitical context of the time, such as interactions with neighboring regions, trade routes, and migration patterns, can shed light on the dynamics that may have shaped early British society. Now, this involves scrutinizing historical accounts from neighboring cultures and civilizations to identify points of convergence or departure. Considering the reliability of historical sources and the potential for biases in their interpretation is crucial. Examining the credibility of the sources that support or challenge these helps in forming a more discerning perspective on the historical narrative. We have come to the end of the video. What do you have to say? Share your comments in the comment section down below. Thank you for watching and see you in my next video.